Well, good afternoon. It's actually FA Cup final day, which is something to remember. But I thought I'd do another allotment update. I think it might be my first one this year. So the swarms of millions of online viewers will have been waiting with great anticipation for this. Both of them. So yes, here we go. So it's been I don't know. It feels like a bit of a slow start to the year, but then it often does when you come every day and watch your plants. It feels like they're not growing. So here's where we are at the moment. It's June the 3rd. So I'll start over here. So my rhubarb is magnificent. I've made 6 huge jars of jam so far, and there's still a lot of rhubarb in there. So before it goes over, I need to find other things to do. A friend told me about a book called The Modern Preserver, which I've bought, which hopefully has got a plethora of rhubarb preserving recipes in. So I will be trying some of those. And then over here, so the first bed, I've got some radish, which as soon as they emerged, bolted basically. So haven't been too successful. But in between, I've got some perpetual spinach, because I had some chard that was all perpetual spinach that was growing over the winter. I'll show you what's left of it, but with the snow and the cold, it didn't really do very well. And then I've got some, quite sad looking tomatillos at the moment, but hopefully they'll perk up. They're looking okay. They're actually flowering. You can see they've got pretty little yellow flowers, so they're about to fruit, but they look a bit too small at the moment, and everything in this bed looks a bit pale. For some reason, it's only just been planted out, so maybe the compost that I put them in when I sowed the seed has run out of nutrients, and maybe they're going to become very green and grow very well from now on. Here's hoping. So I've got there next to them a couple of pumpkins. I think that one's called Crown Prince. That's just been put out, and they don't like cold evenings. At the moment we've got quite nice temperatures in the day, about 18-19 degrees. But it goes down to sort of like 6-7 at night, and so yeah, that's slowing them down quite a lot. They like it warm, pumpkins warm at night as well, so they probably will be quite slow getting going for the next couple of weeks. And then over here I've got some ruby chard, which is one of those things where it felt like it wasn't growing at all, and then now I look at it, it's actually doing okay, isn't it? So this front row where I've been watering is stuff that I transplanted. I thinned out from the main rows that are doing well and transplanted it here, so that's a little bit behind. Yeah, the main ones are doing really nicely. And then if I pan up, you can see the comfrey, which is buzzing with bees. It's sort of probably close to collapsing because it's so full of flowers and bees, and it's having its first flush. So soon it will actually collapse, and I'll chop it down, put it in the water, but for compost and for fertiliser, juicy thingy, comfrey juice, and then it'll all come up again. But at the moment it's lovely just to enjoy the flowers and the bees are all over it, which is lovely. And then as I pan along on my bed, this was the bed that was just nettles a couple of years ago, but now we've got the lovely alliums, which are very floriferous and also popular with the bees. And we can go along, and there's the phacelia along there. There's a couple of greengage trees which had a lot of blossom, but I'll have a look in a minute. I can't see that much fruit, unfortunately. Anyway, and then to the next bed, so we've got the crimson flowered broad beans, which are looking lovely and doing well. They seem to have avoided black fly at the moment, which is great. So hopefully they'll be starting to bean up quite soon. And then I've got some peas. Now my peas, I'm not very good at growing peas. I mean, I have to say I'm not very good at growing peas. I think it's the pigeons. I blame the pigeons. They seem to get to them really quickly. So I've now tried to make it like a prison, Fort Knox, with the peas in there, and they're doing okay now. There's not a lot of them, but they're doing quite well now. But that's because I've got about 17 levels of security to stop pigeons pesking in there. So yeah, hopefully they will. I've got another few lots of peas coming. So, but these are starting to flower, so at least I might get a couple of pods, which is good. Then a few lettuce in between. This one's a really nice one. It's Of course I can't remember the name, but it's one where you cut it and it keeps coming again. So I've got some in the greenhouse. I'll move on to in a bit, but yeah, I've just planted that out today. And then over here we have the first set of broad beans, which are starting to get pods on, so that's good. So they won't be too long before they're ready. You can see in there, probably you might be able to see that the black fly, which is on there, and where there's black fly there will be ladybirds arriving. So at some point soon I'll have to take the tops off, but yeah, I was hoping to get a little bit bigger. Oh, here's a little example of the ladybird. That one's asleep, so not really fulfilling its duties, but I'm sure it's been chomping hard for a long time, and so, oh, there's another one. Is that one going to do anything? Oh yeah, that one's looking. That one's good. That one's showing intent. Oh, there's another one. Yeah, yeah. So you can see once you get black flies, the green the ladybirds come very soon and start to deal with them. So that's great. So the army is here. Oh, look, that one of us. Oh no, I thought the one that was I thought the one that was asleep wasn't asleep. It was moving, but in fact, it's one of the ants attacking it, because I've said before in here, the ants like to farm the sap from the black fly, so they don't like the ladybirds coming along. So they're quite aggressive with the ladybirds. The ladybirds are trying to suck the bejesus out of the aphids, because that's their food for them and their larvae. So you get this battle with the ants and the black fly. So as demonstrated by them. So yes, the next bit. This was peas. I mean, there are some peas. They're down there, but as you can see, as soon as they think about adding a little bit of growth on, the pigeons eat them. So this bed is going to be cleared, and I'm going to put some more peas, but with more security, much more security. And then the next bit, so it always gives me joy. So this is the main crop potato bed, which just looks beautiful, doesn't it? I mean, I've earthed them up. That looks good. The potatoes are really, really healthy. I mean, look at those. They're looking lovely. This is Picasso. It's the main crop, looking really, really nice. And then at the end, I've got a couple of my first earlies, which are Duke of York, which are actually just about to flower. So they're all doing really nice. I put those in really early in March when it was horrible and cold and wet and dark and horrible, and they're doing really well. So yeah, that's good. That's a success so far. And then over here, yes, you've got some more the Phacelia. So this is the green manure. It's used as a green manure, but you can see over there there's a bee. It's very, very popular with the bees, especially when the sun's out. And a lovely flower as well. So I've got that over here. There's a bee demonstrating. Thank you bee, for demonstrating what I'm saying. And I've got in amongst that, I've got poached eggplants. One of my answers in my recent exams actually was named 5 hardy annuals, and this was one of them, Limnanthes douglasii, or Douglasii, or however you say it, but beautiful, really lovely, really cheerful, bright yellow. It's called poached eggplant for obvious reasons. The bees love it, particularly I think honeybees. I've seen bumblebees as well, but there's lots of honeybees on there. Well, there's quite a few different types of bees there actually already. And then over here I've got some Nepeta, some catmint. This is Nepeta. I think it's the one called Six Hills Giant. I've got some fennel in there as well. I've got some foxgloves up there. I've got some lemon balm at the back. I've got a buddleia. I've got a globe artichoke. I've got all sorts. All these things are trying to be good for pollinators. So this whole bed is that intent. This over here is something which is always on my allotment. It's salsify, but it's quite strange really, and it flowers in the morning, but by about midday, if not before, the flowers have closed up. So they're only actually open really early in the morning. Quite strange really, but anyway, very nice. Then this bed, I've got some nasturtiums that a friend of mine, Tammy from college, gave to me, some seeds, and because at college I was famous for being incapable of getting nasturtiums to germinate, so here triumphantly are some There's some germinated nasturtiums, so that's good. I've actually got some over here. These germinated without me doing anything, so it actually doesn't really show that I'm any good at anything, because the things just come up anyway. Anyway, this is, so out of about 4 rows of spinach, perpetual spinach, that after the winter is all that's left of them, and I've put these sticks on because the poor things that did survive were then gobbled by pigeons all the time. So they're now I've now protected them, and they're bursting into flower, which is the end of those. So all in all, they've had a hard time, which is why I've got some more rows already sown, as you've seen. I've got round here a little mini lettuce seed bed, so that's where I've planted out the other ones from. So this one's got a very pretty beetle in there. Look at that, it's got a lovely, you can see that, a beautiful little beetle, very nice, having a sit down there, probably having a drink because I've just been watering them. So those are the little seedlings, and then let me wander around here. I'm going to see what else. Oh yes, I've just got some other beds here where I've got radish, carrots, some more spinach, and here is where so the RHS have a scheme in the winter where they collect seeds from Wisley, and then you can buy the packs. They have a great big long list of them, and you buy them. It's £1 a pack, and so here are some of the ones that I bought. Got some Verbena bonariensis. I've got a Cobea scandens. I can't remember what they look like, these things, but I'm sure they're lovely. Then there's a Verbascum, and then the other one is a Silenia campion over there. So I've transplanted them out because I did have them in the greenhouse, but it's getting quite hot at this time of year, and I don't think these particularly enjoyed the heat, so I've moved them out here, and then I'll see how they get on, and then I'll move them either to the beds over there or back into my garden. So then over here, well, is a magnificent erection of mine, my brassica cage. This one is is about 6 feet tall, and it's prepared for my purple sprouting broccoli, because last year they got as tall as the cage in the nicest possible way. They got as tall as that, and then couldn't go any higher, and the pigeons just sat on the top of the cage and ate them, and also did their doings on them. So this time I've gone for the taller one, so if I can get netting that will fit over that, then they should be safe. And then over, well, by the way, there's a couple of metal baths there, so I've inherited those from my dad, and that's where I'm going to grow garlic, because I can't grow garlic in the beds because I've got white rot in the soil, so I can't grow anything any alliums in the soil. So I'm going to use those with some fresh compost, clean hands, no tools that are used for the other soil, to try and keep those. And I'm just putting any flints, of which I've got millions in the soil, putting those in the bottom to make sure the drainage is good, and there's some holes in the bottom already, so that will be next autumn's garlic sowing. And then over here I've got they've been out for about 2 weeks now. I've got some Calabrese at the end, and then some sprouts. And my method of avoiding slugs is worked again. So I wait until the soil is dry and the forecast is dry, and then I plant things out, because the slugs don't like to crawl on dry soil. And look, I haven't lost a single one. And by the time, even if it rains now, they're established, and so the slugs won't do too much harm to them. So that's always works. I mean, if you're able to do that, to wait until it dries and then look at the forecast, then that works really, really well, I reckon. And then there's my autumn raspberries. Look, with a large red damselfly has just landed on it, so that's very, very nice. And yeah, they're looking quite good. I mean, they've been in for quite a few years now. This must be about the 10th year, and they still look really, really good, really, really good. So, because I often read that you can't keep them in, you have to replace them after a few years. But these ones at the moment are still going strong, and there's a blue oh look, there's a couple of frisky blue damselflies there. If we can zoom in, I don't know if I'm zooming at the right thing. I think so. I mean, I don't want to intrude. Obviously, it's a sunny day, and they're doing their thing, but yeah, lovely to see them, because they'll be going over, I think, into the pond, which is just over the other side of there to oviposit, to lay their eggs, I imagine, I think, but I could be talking nonsense, but I think that's what's going to happen. And then over here we've got some more broad beans. These ones are sown after the other ones, and so these ones have quite a lot of black fly, if you can see that. I don't even see that. So and on the top there, so we'll see what happens with those, how they survive. They're looking quite good at the moment, so I should get a good amount of beans from them, but maybe not as many. Look again, there's a ladybird here, so there'll be lots of ladybirds arriving. So I usually just leave them. I try and take the tops off sometimes, but I just leave them, and the ladybirds do often get rid of all but terrible infestation. So yeah, it should be okay. And then I've got down here, I've got some, I thought I'd bought climbing French bean seeds until I read the packet and realised I hadn't. So I've got dwarf French beans, so they're doing quite well. I've not really watered them very much because even though it hasn't rained now for a couple of weeks, the soil is still quite wet, and what I try to do is not to sort of disturb the surface too much, because if you have a dry soil on the top, it acts as a bit of a sort of mulch, in that the moisture doesn't evaporate because it can't get to the air, sort of thing. So underneath the soil, as soon as you move, like when I earthed up the potatoes, it's actually still quite damp. So I watered these in when I planted them, but since then I've not really watered them. So and they seem to be doing okay. And then the next set of French beans, also dwarf, are there in rows as well. So they're coming along. They'll be following on from those ones. There's my shadow. And so this is another cage, a glorious cage to protect. So there's some peas in there, and the pigeons will not have them. Of that I am determined. So that's what I put up today. And I try my whole not just because I'm stingy, but when I'm gardening, I try not to spend very much money. Bluntly, I try not to buy things that cost lots, and yeah, big metal cages and things. I know they're good. I mean, there's somebody over there, there's an example. So great, they're good, but they cost a lot of money, and I try and cobble together my completely hopeless alternatives, which, if anything walks into them, or if any windy, they'll collapse, I know, but it makes me happy that I've not really wasted too much resources, and also I've not spent too much money. So that's hence there. I mean, the worst canes in the world, look at those. I mean, a pencil's thicker, but even so, we'll see. They may stand up for a couple of weeks. Then here's the pond, which has got I can see blue damselflies. I can see a little red, I think it's a large red, but it's just emerged. I can see there's quite a lot, if you can see, there's quite a lot going on over here. It's a little bit overgrown. I keep trying to chop it back, because up here is the wall of nettles, which is where they can any wildlife can hide, and things can crawl out of the pond and go and hide in, as well as all around the pond. So we've got this sort of grassy area around it, so anything can hide going in and out. So it's a nice, safe environment for creatures to go in and out of the pond. There's quite a few. There's probably, I think I can see about half a dozen damselflies at the moment, which is pretty good. But yeah, quite overgrown. I need to do something about the plants. I think there's one plant there looks pretty like it's taking over, so I'm going to have to do something about that at some point, he says ominously. And then over here, yeah, so we've got just buttercups, green alkanet, which is really, really lovely. And then over here is that's my native hedge, which is now, it's about its 4th year. It's now the height of the fence, which is great. Same height as the others, so that's it. And we've got some aquiledias in there. We've got the green alkanet here. We've got more poached egg plants. We've got some oregano. We've got some red campion. We've got oxeye daisies. And quite a lot of other things. I think there's an achillea there. There's some geraniums. So lots of nice stuff there. So that's doing well. That's just doing what I hoped it would, actually, being a nice flowery place for wildlife to come and visit or rest on. So yeah, really nice, with more plans of things to go in there. Then over here, So this is going to be some more pumpkins. I've got over here, so I said I couldn't grow. Oh, look at this! Look at that! That's beautiful. I think that's one of the clovers. It's absolutely beautiful. Look at that, bright red. I've only just spotted that. That's just appeared. I don't know where that's come from. So that's beautiful, beautiful. So I'll leave that, and hopefully that will seed itself everywhere. And then here I've got some sweet corn here, only a little bit this year. I've got some more sown, but it doesn't seem to be coming up at the moment. But then some garlic. So this is where as I said, I can't grow garlic in the soil, so I put cardboard on the soil with some fresh compost on the top, and then plant it into it. Now there was about four different types of garlic. So I do believe I've actually made a note of which ones I planted in which order, which is very rare for me because as an experiment. So the first row, rubbish, not very good, that's it. The second row, nothing left. The third one I think was elephant garlic, and there's one of those. But then, oh, there might be two of them, those might be two. But then this one here is looking quite good. I don't know what's going on under the soil, whether there's any fungus white rot on them, but at the moment the top, that survived the winter the best. So we'll have a look and see what the plants are actually like, what the bulbs are like when I harvest them, if they get to the end of June, beginning of July. So that could be quite good. I've got a bit of wild rocket growing there, nice too. And then over here, some parsnips. They're looking really nice actually. Parsnips, beetroot, some more tomatillos, some more of this is where the rest of the first early potatoes are. And then down at the end again, beautiful chives, and the bees are loving the chives. Got chives, got fennel, got some parsley. So that's, yeah. But the chives, I sowed those seed a couple of years ago, and they're looking really nice. And then over here, there's some chaos, the remnants of my straw.